All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi there, can you all hear me? I'm just going to start unmuting. Gillian, can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hiya, how you doing?
Good, thanks. You?
Yeah, sorry I'm a few minutes late. All my meetings keep running over today.
Well, that's the way it goes, isn't it? Can you see who else is here?
Yeah, so I've got Alison, can you hear?
Hi there, yep.
Yeah, brilliant. Amanda?
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Great. Julie?
I'm here.
Nicola?
Yes, thanks.
And Susan?
Yes, I'm here.
Great. Is anyone else you're expecting, Gillian?
No, that's all for this session.
Okay, fab. So I'll just quickly connect to your learning assistant. Just bear with me. Okay, great. And can you all see my screen?
Yes, thanks.
Lovely.
Yes.
So thanks for joining. I'm going to go through the assessor part of the system today. So for those of you, I think, oh, you've all got audio. If you ever need to unmute and say anything or shout out or you don't understand, then please do. If you've got any questions after this, please don't panic. You can contact digital support at any time. Or I'm going to show you where there's some additional training videos as well. I'll record this so I can send it on to you as well, just so that you can refer back as and when needed. So I'm on your site.
Thank you.
Now, and when you log on, and you'll have your link sent to you by system admin if you haven't already. When you log on, it'll ask you to reset your password here. So I have, I'm just in I'm in your site as my test assessor that I set up to use. So this should look exactly how you see it. So once you change your password, you'll have these terms and conditions just about system usage. And then I'm going to work down the left-hand side here in training. So on your assessor tasks, you've got awaiting evidence review and awaiting review. They will become more apparent as we go through the learner journey in a little while. You've got verifier referrals, which is anything that your verifier will have referred back to you to be able to action. And overdue is when you set deadlines for the learners, you can then go back and tell the learner if they've not done it by the time that you set, you know to chase. We're going to ignore verifier tasks because that's for the IQA session at a later date. Messages is you have got internal email within Learning Assistant, but it's not something that you would communicate with your learners about their about your learner journey, because everything for the learners will be in the contact diary, which I'll come to shortly. But it is something that you can absolutely access, but a lot of centres will use your own internal email. Rather than within the system. Appointments, so you can book appointments with your learners, which I'll come to shortly, which you can do in the contact diary, but you can see a list of them down here. You've got your resources, which is the key thing for you to remember to take away today, if anything, is here you've got the YouTube resources. And this is things that little snapshot videos completed by us that you can go back and re-watch how to do things. So if you forget anything I go over today, for example, creating a contact diary entry, you can see that in these little YouTube videos. So they're short and sharp. So if you don't want to re-watch this entire webinar that I'm doing now, you can go in and just see them bite-sized chunks from that home screen. Any additional resources that your centre and system admin might put in, they will also show down here as well. There's nothing as of yet, but they may decide to choose something at a later date. LA anywhere? So this is your apps on phones or tablets. You can download the LA Anywhere app, and that is for gathering and uploading evidence. Learners and assessors have access to this. So you can take pictures, record videos, record audio on your phones or tablets and upload it straight into the live portfolio for your learners, so that if you don't have your laptop or you want just a bit of a quick way to upload something, you've got it in there. And the bottom one, which is and for your desktop, that is an offline version of Learning Assistant, a slightly more basic version, that if you don't have Wi-Fi where you're at, you can connect via your desktop app, use it to your sort of upload evidence, and then you can sync it back up to Wi-Fi and then reconnect and download everything that you've done in the visit back to the live system. Okay. Has anyone got any questions around those tabs along the top and what they mean?
No, I don't think so.
No. No.
Great. Look back. So I'm going to work down the sides now so that you can see all the functionality down this left hand side. I'm going to go from the bottom just so that we can go from we can rule some bits out. So processes is not something that you're going to be using at this present time. From the admin perspective, it's not been built, so you can ignore that's there. You may decide to use it at a later date. At that point, the administrators will be able to tell you that processes are now live, and then we can do some training on what that means for you. But at the moment, it is not relevant. The sampling summary parts of it. This is obviously for IQAs, so we're not going to cover that in today's session. CPD.
I've lost the whole thing.
Oh, say that again, sorry.
Amy.
I've lost the screen. I've lost my VT.
Oh. Julie, maybe try and log in, like click off it and log in again.
Okay.
Sorry, it happened to me the other day as well.
Okay. Back to sign.
Is that you, Julie?
Amy, well, it's Julie that's having the problems, yep.
Okay, do you want me to just fire a couple of minutes for you to log out and log back in?
No, I can still hear you. Sorry, and I've written down what you're going over, so carry on and I'll get back on.
Are you sure?
Amy, can I just ask about the IQA training? I was led to believe that this session was going to be for assessors and internal verifiers.
Ah, okay, I've got this down for assessors and I've got IQAs a bit later on.
No, there's three training sessions because there's quite a lot of us. But I'd say to Jamie, I wanted assessor and verify because most of us are both. So the 3 sessions will have assessors and verify, like they hold both roles.
Right, okay. Okay, no problem. I'll go through the assessor bit and then I'll cover sampling summary at the end, just to split it up a little bit. I'm absolutely fine to do it together. Just tell me how everyone feels at the end. Normally we recommend splitting it just because of the getting confused with 2 parts of the system merged into one. So I'll go through all the assessor stuff to start with, and then I'll make it a clear distinction between the IQA session starting. Is that all right?
Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you.
No problem. So CPD, Gillian, is that something that you decided you were going to use in the system? I can't quite remember.
Not yet.
Not yet. So you can get that turned off if you would like. So you just need to email digital support and say for now you want to hide it. The same with processes as well. We always recommend to make it as clean as you want, and then you can always add things back on at a later date.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so forums, these are optional. There's no notifications with these at the moment, but they are nice to have. So within these forums, we automatically set up the qualifications that you've got. So I'll go into the dental nursing, and you can create a thread. So this is anything additional learning, and it's just like writing a post. Unfortunately, I'm hospitality based, so it's the only thing that I can relate to, but most people have been out for a drink at some say binge drinking, for example. What's your thoughts? Have you got any opinions? Do you think it's working? Things that are related to your qualification and the kind of sector and industry the learners are in. And it's that additional sort of learning and communication. It might also be, I'm really struggling with this unit, or as a tutor, you might put in, here's some guidance tips about this unit that you, or this topic that you might be covering. And then learners and other tutors can reply and keep a thread going of discussion and communication. Okay, is everyone okay with that?
That's fine, yeah.
Yeah.
Would that be on a one-to-one basis, Amy, or would that be with a group of learners, or would
No,
it just be one-to-one?
This is everyone that's on that qualification within your system. So it doesn't matter
Right.
if they're linked to it, everyone can see that. So that's why it's that kind of additional information. So like blogs and news about the sector is always really good to put in here.
All
Grand.
right, not a personal thing, okay.
So admin can edit and delete that and have a bit of control over whether that's going to be seen or not. So Gillian, it might just be for you to go in and just delete what I've just popped in there if you've changed your password to your system admin already.
Yeah, I've sorted that. Okay, I'll do that later, thanks.
No problem. So appointments here is just a calendar version of the appointments that we saw on the home screen. So rather than it being in a list, it is shown in a calendar format, and you can create appointments in here around how they're made, but I'm going to come into them in a little while. News and events. This is some news, some events, anything to shout about rather than via email. Then they might sit on here for you to be able to click into and have a look at in a little bit more detail. But this is not something from us, this is internally. So this will only show if you do this from an internal standpoint. So they're the additional bits that are within the system. But what we're going to focus on today is around the learner journey, because that's sort of the key bit that we want to get out of this session. So when you're set up in Learning Assistant, you should be allocated a test learner as well. And so in there, I'm going to change the learner status, which is automatically pre-populated to active, to test learner. And then I'm going to search. And when I search for that, I scroll down and I can see the learner has been placed here, where I can click on the name and it opens up into their portfolio. Now, you've got mandatory units, or only?
No, they're all mandatory, all 11 of them.
All right, okay. So I can get support to change them from optional to so just ignore this little bit. Okay, so expect them to have been completed. But the first thing you want to do is you want to contact the learner to set a plan. So in here, we're going to go into contact in the middle. Create an entry. This is the only thing that will leave description. Should really be more title. So you give it a title of what you want and then some feedback. So what do you expect the learner to have completed for the next visit, session, meeting, observation, etc. Again, that appointments is there, so you can book in an appointment. So you can say, I'm going to come and see you at the end of the month. You can require the learner and their employer or their manager's acknowledgement. You can add in additional related documents if you want to upload documents into this and resources, etc. And then you work along the top. So
Amy, can I just ask
Yeah.
a question? So you're saying this is a diary entry or a contact diary entry for planning. Is this somewhere that we could upload assessment plans to?
yeah, absolutely.
And can the date, does it have to be, can it be the end of the course date, if you like, as opposed to in 3 months' time or a week's time or something like that?
Yeah, you can put in any date you want down here. So this meeting or appointment or due date, you can keep going.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
And then from here, you've got your outcomes. So you can say this plan is I want you to complete these two first units, for example. You can rag rate your learner. So if you use rag rating of red, amber, green, depending on how your learners are progressing, do you use this currently?
No.
Okay. So it's up to you whether you use it. You don't have to, but some centres, you've obviously got your expected and completed progress based on the system and the system generated results, but you can personally rag rate your learners. So it might be showing that they're behind, but actually you know they're green and they're on track and you're not worried about them being late. So you could make them green so that if a report runs off and it says, you know, they're expected to be at 50%, but actually they're only at 35, you can say, yeah, but I'm still confident they're going to achieve on time. His summary.
That could tie in with the modern apprenticeship time frame, maybe, or am I just jumping the gun?
Say that again, sorry.
The modern apprenticeship. Can Gillian hear me?
I can hear you.
Does that sound a silly thing to say, the modern apprenticeship, because they're on a time kind of time loop? Would we put them as red if they were behind the deadline? Potentially.
But yeah, I mean, it's the first time I've seen the kind of rag rating. I can't see why
me too.
not.
Yeah.
It's not going to talk to the AME, so if the assessor felt that would be a good idea, I'm sure that, I think it, perhaps individual.
Yeah, okay, sorry, I'm just talking out loud, sorry.
No, not at all. You've got to remember, Julie, I've not started the modern apprenticeship yet, so I might well come back to this and think that's a great idea. So no, keep the ideas coming. I like it.
And sorry, I'm based in London, so I have no idea about Scottish qualifications to that extent. Okay, so once you've completed all that and you've seen your summary and you're happy, you'll press save, and that will then go over to your learner. Because we put in an appointment date, you can put in some more details around that. So I want this to take place at your workplace. It's just going to be a general appointment at 2 o'clock, and it's going to last for 2 hours, let's say. So then that will create an appointment in your appointments diary. And you can see now in the contact diary, which will continuously add up, I've now got a plan for that learner. Okay, so I'm just going to log in as the learner now briefly so you can just see what it looks like from there. Cool. Gillian, did anyone change my password for my learner at all?
Nope.
Not sure why that's not letting me in.
Amy, you've got 2 dots in your. Does that matter?
Password, which I never do. Obviously, my grammar was on point last week. So the learners will have the same. You know how to dial, you know what they need to do, what units that's related to. They can acknowledge that they've seen this and that time and date stamps. So these are all the kind of things just to let them know in their induction of what they should be doing. There is a little learner video in them resources as well, which you can email out. So once they're happy and they want to go into their course folder, they can see there's a little book here that says the plan that was set, and then you can see when the learner accepts the plan as well.
Great.
Okay. So when they're ready, so you can do this as well. So the learner and you can upload evidence in exactly the same way. And browse for files. It can be anything, and they can do as you can see there that's uploaded. You can just press the rubbish bin there if they want to get rid of it. And then they'll work along the top. So I always tell them to put in a sensible title, because if they upload a picture that just says JPEG29Z64, you will have no idea what that means. So witness testimony it might be, or workbook of questions, etc. And then they fill out the type. Don't panic at these, they will need to be put in at some point, but you can definitely cancel what the learner says they are. And you can customize these evidence types as well. So if you want to customize them, Gillian, just email digital support with what you would like them changed to.
Okay, because I was going to ask about personal statements, so that's great. I'll do that.
Yeah, just email and just say, actually, we don't want this and we do want this, and could you remove this? So you can do whatever. So if they were questions, they might go in there. It might also be a witness testimony. And then they can say, you've asked me to send you work for this one, so I've sent you all of that. I've also sent you all of this. But don't worry if your learners go sort of like button happy, because I'm going to show you how to undo what they've done as well. So when they do that, it will say, would you like to submit for a review? I'm going to press yes. Now, there's two important bits to remember here. You can submit for review, which is what I've just done, which is the learner saying, this individual piece of evidence that I have sent you, I'm not saying I finished, but I'd just like you to give me some feedback on it. Just tell me how I'm getting on. Okay? Once they're 100% happy and they think, do you know what, this particular unit, so reflect on, develop, maintain, own skills, once I am absolutely happy that I have given you everything that I need and I'm really satisfied with my work, that's when they would go down and press submit their competency claim. That's you making a decision on this unit as a whole. Have they demonstrated they have understood everything in here and they would pass? This locks it and it says it's submitted and awaiting review. So they can't cross-reference anything else. They can't upload anything else. They cannot do anything else in this unit until you have said yes or no.
Okay.
Okay.
Does everyone understand that okay?
Yes, thanks.
Yes.
Thanks.
No worries. So in their course folder now, they'll see that this one's got the little paper aeroplane, which means it's submitted and awaiting review. Because I cross-referenced that piece of evidence and I copied it into, I said that it also achieved this, it shows that I've started it. Because I've not asked you to confirm competence on this unit, but I have started uploading some work towards it. Which will now make more sense with your homepage. So because it's a test learner, it's not shown in here, but you'll have the waiting evidence review is, when I uploaded it and the pop-up came and said, do you want to submit for a review? And I pressed yes. It would then show in this top bit. Once you submit competency claim and the learner has locked it down for you to finalise, that's this awaiting review as a whole. So what I'm going to do is, if that awaiting evidence review for that individual can see what the learner's sent.
You see the list of all your candidates, are they in a homepage? And you would then select the individual candidates from that list?
Yeah, or if a shortcut there, you can go in and search for a learner.
Okay.
In the top.
Can you get a snapshot of where they all are in the one page, or would it have to be get into each individual learner in turn?
No, on the learners, you know, when I searched for the test learner and my learner was at the bottom?
Yep.
If I had more learners, they would all show in a big list there.
Right, okay,
It's only
great,
because
thanks.
I've got the one learner on that's all you can see.
Okay.
So that first bit, awaiting evidence review, that clipboard down there is bold in appearance, which means the learner has said, please can you give me some feedback on this unit. So if it's feedback, on this piece of work. So if it's that feedback, click on the clipboard and you just give them feedback. So, well done, but you haven't got it yet. You need some more work. Outcomes, you can say it absolutely doesn't cross-reference into here. Again, you could rag rate if you wanted the summary of that feedback and then save. So that is just giving them feedback based on that one individual piece of work, not the unit as a whole, just that piece of work. And you can see there that clipboard's got a number 1 next to it, which shows that it's been reviewed once. The beauty of doing it this way is that then your learners can go in and replace it. So they can edit it and replace that piece of evidence. At that point, it still shows their original piece because that backwards clock will have 2, 3, 4 times. And then when you click on that, it will show you their first piece of evidence, their second piece of evidence, and all the bits that they have added to if you've said it's not good enough. So you can see all of the version history from start to distance travelled on your final piece within this one evidence reference point.
Can you view them both side by side so that you can compare?
Yeah, so when you click in there, it will give you a list and you can just click and open them as many as you want.
Right, okay, thanks.
Okay, so that's your individual piece. Once they've said, oh, we're happy with the entire outcome, you can click on there and it will take you through to that same view that we had a look at with the learners. So this is you saying that I actually think you've achieved all of the performance criteria, for example. So the learner is saying, this piece of evidence, I think I've achieved every single bit of performance criteria in here, or knowledge, etc. And they can tick it. So all the black ticks are learner ticks to say, I think this achieves it. If you agree and you say, actually, yes, it has achieved this performance criteria, you would just go and change them to green. But you say, actually, it's performance, it's not knowledge. You can remove that black tick and it's gone. Thanks.
How did you remove it there, Amy?
Keep clicking through until it disappears.
Right, okay, thanks.
And obviously you can add it in if it does. So that's for that piece of evidence all the way along. Once you're happy that performance 1, for example, has been fully achieved, it might be that you only need to see it once, you don't need to see it 2, 3, 4 times. You tick the yellow box at the bottom. If you're happy that it's completed everything, you can tick that little box and it will do it all. And then at that point, you can accept and return. Well, no, sorry, that's poorly explained. Without the yellow tick, I'm absolutely happy that you've achieved it for all of that, but you still need another piece of performance criteria before I can say it's been signed off. So then you can return and say, yeah, you've great job, but we need to see this twice. And then save.
All of these things to understand it fully.
And then it's very much in that habit of log in as your assessor, go into the contact diary and set that plan. Once you've done that, log in as the learner and upload a piece of evidence, and then go back and feedback. And then just do that a couple of times, and then you'll find it falls into 5 steps. So it's plan, learner does, you review, or you feedback, accept or return, and then you plan again. Okay. All of that, the reason, the contact diary, and all of those are the plan. This is when I gave the learner feedback on the piece of evidence that they wanted me just to review. And this is when I returned that work because they haven't done enough. Okay, and then that would have said FD 42 accepted had I have accepted that as complete. Yeah.
Yep, looks good.
Has anyone got any questions on that?
I think that's okay. So to my mind, it's happy to accept that piece of evidence. However, you're missing PCs 1 to 6.
Yeah.
Get me another piece of evidence to meet that, and then you just say, yeah, that's what you want.
So I would just say to your learners, like when you induct them, you know, submit evidence for a review as much as you like, and then to start with, just guide them on when they should press that submit your competency claim.
Okay.
And then just say like,
cut down on the writing, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know. Yay! Yay!
You don't have to type out criteria and units over and over again. And
but Julia, the other thing I was thinking of was that that piece of evidence might, say if it was OH1, it might be absolutely fine and meet all of those, but because we would need the 2 pieces of evidence, so say we'd be happy with that, but we might be awaiting observation as well. So, and then if we had all of them,
exactly. Yeah. Totally.
Yep.
Does this link with your email to say that such and such is giving you feedback, or do you just have to keep opening Learning Assistant?
No, so in your avatar, which is the top, I should have done this first really, in that top left hand side I've got that little person with their face. You can change that to a picture of yourself, but you've also got notifications. Just make sure your email address is in there, and turn all the notifications you want on to on.
Yep.
And then that will go to your email as well to say you've got this notification.
That's better then. Yeah, because I'm not chasing it, it's just coming in as they do it.
Yeah. Okay. You'll get like a little notification. Just a little bit of a side note, if you put any of these as daily, they come through as like a daily update at 2 o'clock in the morning. Because that's like the quietest time, because obviously we've got like care as well, so our portfolio is used during the night. So if you do sleep with your work phone next to you in bed and it's loud, then please don't have a go at me if you get woken up by it. It has happened. So that's the only caveat to your notifications.
Amy, where do the assessment plans go?
So it depends where you want them to be. So you can create a contact diary and you can put them in there. You could, if you've got them in a document already, then you could also keep, to be fair, I keep everything in the contact diary because it's the best place for everything to sit, because that is like your full audit.
That's
Amy,
said a wee while ago. Yeah.
Amy, we were sort of trying to discuss how best to do it. Do you feel we should have a template for the assessment plan to upload to the contact diary? Or
so do you have your assessment plans, are they already in some sort of form?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you can either use you can keep using that form, or is your system admin, do you remember me going through the form builder with you?
Yep.
Yeah, you can build them in the settings, which then in the contact diary, once you've filled out the parameters in here, so I'll do assessment plan attached. Once you've sort of saved that to create the contact diary, at the bottom you've got related forms, and then your assessment plan that you were building, that settings tab, you'd be able to attach it to and then fill out the template.
Okay, and then we could still ask for learner acknowledge. Well, would the learner upload that and then we would acknowledge, or
You
do
know,
we
it's for
upload
your
that?
assessors to acknowledge, for you guys to upload.
So we would upload it,
Yeah,
and
the
then they
learners
would
can
acknowledge
copy
it.
if you choose. It's
Oh,
however
that's
you
sorry.
set that up.
Okay.
So do your learners make a comment in that to acknowledge that they agreed to it and things?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Just
when
usually
you build,
sign it.
yeah, so the acknowledgement that require learner acknowledgement, that's our like e-signature,
Perfect.
because they have to log in using their email address, your URL and your password. So that's better than a digi-signature in some cases because it can't be forged.
Agreed. Yep.
Yeah.
Great.
Is there
Would
any other
everybody be happy with that? Do you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
So when you do the assessment plan meeting,
Mhm.
would you then, so normally I do the assessment planning electronically and I just email the mutually agreed assessment plan to the learner. So as an alternative to that, you would just upload it onto the contact diary. Is that what we're saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what we're proposing, Nicola. What do you think?
Your email.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Sounds good.
Great.
Has anyone got any other questions on the assessor part?
I don't think so.
Once
Amy, you mentioned
you'll start to kind of realise what once you get confident with that assessment cycle, you'll kind of start using it a little bit more, and you can have as many of these webinars as you want. You guys are throwing at a good time. So you've got me for another month, and then you'll be reallocated to a different DSM because I've got a promotion on Friday, so I will be leaving in a month. So you've got me, and you can book in as many webinars as you want within that month, but you will still be reallocated to another DSM, so you can just keep having these. The more you use it and the more you need, just feel free to keep going.
Okay, thank you.
Amy,
Amy, can I ask about the... On you go, Nicola.
Is the standards, will they be inbuilt into the system so that the learners can access them?
I suppose it could go under resources.
Yes, so when we go into here and then the learner goes in, we automatically put in this resource here.
Okay.
I believe should be your standard. And I can,
Oh, great. Yep, that's great. Yep. Lovely.
Cool.
What was that you were in?
Sorry, closing the screen so I can't see at the top.
All right, we can see it now, maybe.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you can click on it and press accept. And then at the bottom of every learner and then every contact diary.
Okay.
Rather than assessor.
Does the assessor need to declare every single time?
It's your
as well as
your internal decision. So some centres do it at the start, some at the very last visit, others every time they see a learner. It's entirely up to your own process.
Okay, what's happening, Gillian?
To be confirmed, but I would expect it at the start.
Okay, great.
So they declare it first and then they start uploading assessment plans or
Right.
evidence. But
Brilliant.
we'll just agree that after we've done some training.
Right, no bother, thanks.
Anything else on the assessor side?
No, I think I just need to play about with it, that's all really.
It is one of them that watching me do it is all well and good, but pressing the buttons is even better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amy, you said to set up some test learners, and I've done 2. Does it have to be one student per assessor and verifier? Can it be multiple? Can they play about with the same?
Yeah, you can do a primary assessor and then loads of secondary assessors for one test learner, absolutely.
Thank you. I'll do that soon after this.
Thanks, Gillian.
No worries. Okay, anything else for the assessor?
No.
I'm not thinking it's necessarily the assessor, Amy. What? I'm not sure everybody's seen how to upload the evidence. Can you do that from the learner perspective, or is that not something
Yeah,
that's part of this
that's
training?
what I just did with the Amy. So they can either do it from the unit itself or evidence folder,
Oh, yeah.
and they can do that evidence wizard. Upload.
Sorry. Yep, I get the see. So see if would you for the evidence wizard there,
Yeah.
the upload, would you expect that to be like product evidence and such like? What would you suggest for a reflective account?
So they can still do it in evidence wizard, but they can create evidence as well.
Yep.
Which is a bit like a Word document.
Yeah, could you show that? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh, sorry. Automatically clicked on the other bit. Yeah. And then they can go, and then so unit 3, for example.
And so would they upload a template into that, or do they type directly?
They type directly into create.
So they would, so this is a reflective account for blah, 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 and you, where do they put their performance criteria? Like, is it just through the cross-referencing?
Yeah.
Yep. We had considered about using one of our own forms for that, because the way our form is just now, that if the kind of P's get put down the side, to the right-hand side.
Yeah, so
if we wanted that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what they could do is if you attach it, and then you can, there's that tab that so it says units that would say learner resources, and you could put the template in there, so they can click in there and open up the template.
So where we were talking about putting handbooks and such like for everybody to see, we could just put our templates and then assign it to the learners, well, and the trainers, couldn't we?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, okay. And if there was a learner, sorry, a reflective account, if we wished a dentist or a mentor to sign that or acknowledge it, how's best to do that? Is that through an entry in the contact diary, or is...
Yeah, so click that require acknowledgement.
Right.
And the learner can do that as well. So when they upload something, they can require assessor or their manager's acknowledgement.
Okay.
So when they are in there.
Can the manager give feedback? Oh, yes, you can. Yes.
Yep.
It just caught up with you, Nicola.
Yeah, I'm just a bit behind.
No, mine was frozen just as you were asking, and then it appeared.
Just wanted to press rewind there.
So will you guys, the leads as the administrators, will you be putting all the templates, you know, are we going to have the sort of pre-populated templates that we're using? Is that what you were meaning, Gillian?
So remember, well, you might not remember, but we discussed it briefly at the standardisation meeting and about using some of the templates, and we weren't going to use it for personal statement, but we were going to try and
but
use
you're going to
one...
pre-populate it with the usual ones we use, so the students will still use what they were using,
but without the signatures.
Yes.
We hope so. Yep.
Okay. I mean, will that be a big job to do? I'm just sort of thinking, well, depending on when we're all starting with our students now, but would that be a big job to do?
As far as the system goes, it depends how big your documents are.
Right. Well, the templates aren't that huge, are they?
No, and
No.
as I say, we're not going to use them for all of them, but we might just use a couple initially. But yeah, need to give that a wee bit more thought.
Right.
What assessment plans, Gillian?
Yeah, I think the idea was to have the assessment plan
Right.
and just remove the signatures.
Right, okay.
And really the reflective account and just remove the signatures. And then it was personal statement we were just going to use in the free text box.
Yeah.
Aye.
And what about the clinical reflective account? Were you going to use both or just one?
I can't really remember what we decided about the clinical.
I don't know, was that even discussed? I can't remember.
No, I can't remember that. But I guess that would be in the, if, like Amy was saying, we could put it in the learner resources, then they could choose which one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Yeah, like they do now. Aye.
Yes.
Grand.
Great.
Sorry, Amy.
No, that's fine. Anything else on the assessor before I run over the IQA bit?
I can't think of anything.
Not me neither.
What's that wee envelope, Amy, with the two? Is that message?
That's that messages part.
Right, okay. So does the learner have that as well as the assessor?
Yeah.
Yep. And what about the loud hailer to the right?
The what?
That's when you're shouting at the students, Nicola.
And each big siren goes off.
I've never heard it called that before. So it's disabled at the moment, but if we do some major updates in the system, it takes you down, there's like a little tour of what's new. So you won't see it going off very often. It will just kind of go off if we're going to show you, right, we've got this new button and this is what it does.
Oh, like an alert.
Oh, like an alert.
Okay.
Unfortunately, you can't.
That sounds quite exciting.
Anything else?
Make it like a unit, you get a toot.
Straight to red.
Okay, so IQA. Is anyone an assessor only and wants to log off, or?
No.
Everyone okay?
No.
Nope.
Nope.
So very, very similar. You'll see it's very repetitive. The only we normally, like I say, do this a little bit later because you can't. Oh, I need to go into mine actually, because you can't set up a sample summary without live learners on.
Okay.
So let me go into my demo site. So I have got. So you could, to create a sampling summary or sample description, you're going to do you choose the course. So I know that I have something on customer service, I think. You can choose your assessors and companies if you want to do it per assessor, and then save. This is oh, bless me, sorry. This has now created a template here. So customer service planning, click on there. And then this is giving me all of my learners. Your bits will probably all be ticked to start with. So it will look something like this, template. So you've got these bits which you can display or undisplay. So I'll start off here. So assessor, so you can see who the primary assessor is for them learners. So you can hide that if you want to make it a little bit easier on the eye. Same with dates. This is your start and end date. Role is the gold star there. So if it's gold, it means that you're the primary verifier. If it's greyed out, it means that you're a secondary verifier. Your percentages are all at the very end here. So it tells you the percentage of formative, summative, and the percentage of formative and summative overdue, which I'll come into planning in a second, and the percentage that you verified overall. You've also got interim verifications, which won't show unless you've actually done some verification, which you can see here. So where I've got that little number 2, 2, 1, and at the end 9, it totals up how many bits of interim you've done, also formative. So what I will do then is to create a plan, I will click on the box and you can see it's gone black and bold with appearance. If you want to sample multiple, you can hold down Control and tick multiple. And then you can choose. If you plan summative and formative, then you can put in a date that you anticipate that to be done. Do you guys sample to a date, or do you just dip in and out whenever they're achieved?
We're kind of sampling to a date at the moment, yeah.
Yeah. So if you know that date, then of course pop it in. Choose the kind of evidence types you want to, or you anticipate to see. And then save. So that's as simple as it is to create your sample plan. So it's very much like Excel. It will then say S for summative plan, V if you have verified, and all of these colours, where that question mark is at the top, that's the key. So you can see, you know, blue, and all the colours are the same for all of Learning Assistant. Grey is not been selected or not started, sorry. Blue is started by the learner, green is completed by the assessor, pink is verified, but you can see them by pressing in that question mark whenever you need.
Oh, right, that's better.
Yeah. So once you've done that sample plan, that will then transpire to a list on your home screen. So rather than it being in boxes, if you want to look at it down here, you can see all of your sample plans, all of the samples due. If you've not put dates, it says not set down here. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But once you
The assessor experience.
Yeah.
So some of the units will be signed off not sampled.
Yeah.
Is that something that you can do in the system?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I'm just going to click onto a learner here. So in here, when you verify, the pink is when it has been, that whole unit has been verified. And then a green one, if I can find a green one. Typical. So not verified everything. I'm actively saying that I have only verified this percentage, rather than it's the biggest thing that people do, try and make every single unit complete and pink because they think it should be. But you will have a mix where some are pink, verified. I'm trying to think of
Yeah,
Yes.
when you look at it. Yeah. Okay, I'm with you.
But everything, so for your verification, once an entire unit's been completed, you can verify the unit as a whole in this bottom corner. But if you want to go in and say, right, we're going to have a look at this one, it's exactly the same. Where that we've done with perspective,
I think so.
and then when you're happy with that, you press verify here rather than accept and return.
Right.
So it is mirroring the assessor process.
And to give feedback or the verification report, is that still a contact diary
Yeah.
entry?
But it is blocked from the learner and the company. So because obviously it's between you and that assessor.
All right.
So you would put your verification feedback in here.
Yep.
And now you can see that that has now been outcome verified, which if we go back to the course folder, you can see that that has now gone to a pink.
Amy, see if you were verifying a unit and you didn't agree with the assessor's decisions, I take it you wouldn't tick verify unit at that stage?
Or refer. So you
Right, okay. Whereabouts is that?
Aye, where was it?
just there. Look at the evidence there feedings in here. And then you, but definitely once you've got your live, oh sorry, say that again.
That screen that you were in there was different coloured dots.
Down the bottom?
Like with yeah, what are all these for? You know, the wee the green,
like
the pink.
I said, when you hover over them you can see, and then it will remove everything except the feedback. And then obviously you can just remove that filter when you want to see everything again. Has anyone got any questions? I know it's one of them, it's exactly the same as the assessor, but just don't let me skim over anything. Once all your live learners
look at it at that point.
then go into sample summary and create that sample plan. And just do a fake one to start with. Just give it a go and press the button, because you can go in and just press delete when you for your rubbish ones that you kind of just been playing around with. Then you can just go in.
Yeah. How long did it take you to get used to using it, Amy?
Me? No, it's not. It's no. Well, so when I joined, which was 2 years ago now, like into this team, I was signed off after sort of 4 weeks, but that was using it like every sort of other day, and practicing around with it. But it's one of them. There's still things that I learn now, that I kind of only come across when a centre goes, oh, I do this, and I'm like, oh right, okay, well, I'll need to go away and check. So I still don't think I know it inside out. I mean, I like to think I know 99% of it, but there's always stuff to find out, and there's always different ways of doing it. But I would say if you keep practicing, after about 4 weeks, I felt pretty confident to be able to go and show someone how to use it.
Grand.
Good.
So yeah, have you ever used ePortfolios before?
No.
I haven't, no.
So
I was looking at my son's one from Glasgow, and it's they look fantastic. I'm looking forward to using it, but
so sometimes that you'll either find that's really hard. That's either a really good thing because you've got no premeditated expectations of what they should be doing. So you just go and you go, well, this is how Learning Assistant works, and that's how I use it. So that's actually sometimes that panics people, whereas I actually think it's really good. Because when I was an assessor, I went from paper to ePortfolio, and I found that transition quite straightforward because I knew nothing else. But then when I come over, when I joined City and Guilds and came over into the digital side, I'd already knew what my old ePortfolio did. So I was like, oh, I want to do this, and they're like, no, it's different. So it's do you know what I mean? So that's actually quite a good thing.
I mean, I've heard nothing but just good things that come from all the different companies that are doing ePortfolios. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shift, but don't be scared to press buttons. There's always a forward and a back step, and you can always make a comment in the contact diary if you need to undo something. And EQAs and auditors and all of that. If you put you put something in wrong, and then you go in and you can't change it, for example, or you've pressed accept when you should have pressed return, you can always go and justify your reasons, and no one should penalise you for that at all. There is always a forward and a back step.
Okay.
And digital support are always on the phone as well, so if you do get stuck, then call digital support because they're fantastic and they can talk you through it step by step.
Where would you suggest starting the training for the learners? Would you advise them looking at the video first?
No, I would advise it when you next go and see them. I'd sit and you log on and they log on, or over the phone or however you do it, and then just say, right, I'm going to send you this plan, and this is the kind of information I'm going to put in, so they know how to do it with your personal touch, and the kind of thing that you're used to planning. The video is there and it is great, and it's something that they can take away, and if they forget they can watch it. But that kind of, right, this is where I'm going to put my plan, and this is what the kind of thing I'll be writing, and then get them to log on either virtually over the phone with you or when you're sat with them, so you can show them, right, you then acknowledge this, and then you accept the plan, and then this is how you upload the evidence, and that's it. Just keep it dead basic to start with, and then start adding on the extra bits that you want them to do.
Okay.
And then I always tell my centres to be really honest with the learners. Just say, look, this is new for all of us. We're going to work through this together. Because a lot of people are like, oh, I need to look like I know absolutely everything in front of my learners. Whereas actually, I always say, like, just say to them, let's work out how we move from paper to e-portfolio together. And then they don't panic as well when they don't know how to do it, or if they've forgotten. They don't feel like the pressure's on so much, is what I found when especially with my older learners, I made them feel confident that we were going to go through it step by step.
Okay.
Yep, sounds good.
Obviously we've got a couple more sessions on this, so feel free to jump back on next time I do it if you're feeling really unsure. Or you can obviously book in more one-on-one webinars if any of you are kind of thinking, actually, I just want someone to sit with me one-on-one to go through this. Then you can do that, and they don't have to be this chunky amount of time. They can be like half an hour if you just want to go over one bit.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
How would we arrange that one-to-one training?
Sorry?
How would we arrange if we were looking for a wee bit of one-to-one training?
Email digitalsupport@cityandgirls.com.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thanks.
No worries. Have a
Thanks
good
very much,
afternoon.
Julie.
And if you need anything, then give me a call or an email if I don't speak to you before the next session.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you ever
Cheers.
so much.
Thanks.
See you soon.
Cheery.
Bye.
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 Bye.